Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Congratulations as well. You've made it this far. Um, we are into assignment 12, and this will be the last assignment before we go into our final project. So, you guys are warriors for sticking it out. So, this week we're going to work with alpha mats. We worked with Luma mats over the last couple weeks. So this week we're going to just use an alpha mat. And I thought a great way to apply alpha mats would be to use text. As you see that they're applied all the time in commercials and other media. So I thought we'd apply it to some text and maybe try to create some kind of thematic statement through our text and our imagery. So we're going to do a new project, new composition. Our settings are going to be 720 by 540. And our, let me make this a little smaller here. Oh, I can't do that yet. 720 by 540. And we're going to do 29.97 or 30 frame rate. Either one's fine that you put in there. Duration, I'm going to make mine for 30 seconds. I'm going to do 5 6-second sequences. So 6 times 5 is 30. So that's our settings. We're going to click OK there. And the next thing I want to do is I've gathered some video clips that I want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and import those. And I found these on Pixabay. Again, that's a site where you can find video clips that you're allowed to use. Usually you just have to credit the creator or thank them, or sometimes you don't have to do anything. So file, import, and we're going to do multiple files. And my folder, I'm already in my folder here. So I have a folder called AE12 Alpha Project, and then I have my video clips in there. So I'm just going to grab all of them and import those in. And there you see those are in there. And so I'm going to, this comp 1 here, I'm going to name this. So I need to rename my composition here. And let's see, how do I rename this here? Let's go up to composition. Comp settings, probably, huh? Okay, we'll call this composition name final. This will be our final composition right here. Okay, so there's our final comp. And then now what I'm going to do, since I have 30 seconds on here, I'm going to create separate comps for all my sequences. So so let's just start with one. We're going to do composition new. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that this is 720 by 540, blah, blah, blah. Instead of 30 seconds here, though, we're going to change this to 06. Okay, so we have a 6-second sequence now. And so now what I'm going to do is grab a couple of clips. I'm just going to grab whatever I can find. There's a woman, and here's a city. That's perfect. So we're going to put these two together. So we have a woman here kind of brushing the flower. It's a beautiful shot. And then if I turn the eyeball off, we've got a cityscape here. So these will work really nicely, being their colors are kind of off enough, and the contrast, so that'll work really well, I think. So anyway, let's go ahead and we're going to go in here. We have the woman on top here of the city here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play with text, and we're going to juxtapose these images together in some way. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add some text over this top layer, this woman layer, touching the flowers. So I think the easiest way, you can go up to layer, create a new text layer, or you can just grab your text tool here and it'll do it for you. See how it created an empty text layer down here once I selected the T tool? And just click anywhere on your canvas here, and you can type some text there. Let me move that real quick here. And notice there I typed in the word chill, but look at how the characters are bunched up close together. That's because I was playing around with this tracking tool over here on the right. So if you go under character in your window here under preview, you can see that there are some tools here. There's font size here. You can set the leading. Okay, watch what happens when I set the leading here. Nothing's happening there, right? So I'm going to keep that on auto. I can just click there, back on the arrow and click auto. Now this is the one you want right here, setting the tracking, where it says VA and then the two arrows pointing in either direction. What that does is it puts the letters either closer together, which might be a nice effect for some of you, or bring them farther apart. So I can keep going with this. Watch what happens. And you can just play with the tracking that way. So I think that looks about probably where I want it right there. And so the next thing I might want to do is think about how big I want this thing to get. So I'm going to just play around with the transformation underneath the text layer. So if I go to transform, I'll just scale this thing up. And by the time it's done, maybe this thing will be, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little larger. Let's scale it up. Maybe like that. Maybe a little more. What the heck? Let's make it big. Okay, that looks pretty good right there. Okay, so now that I've got a huge word on my canvas here, now I can apply my alpha mat. Okay, so we have the layers in this order. We have the street underneath. That's the bottom layer. We have the woman in the field, and then finally the text layer goes on top. So what we have to do now is kind of like we applied the Luma mat. We have to go down to the second layer, or the layer just underneath the text, and we have to give it an alpha mat. Okay, so again, if this track mat window is not showing up in your timeline, F4 will get you there. Also, our toggle switches and modes will get you there on the bottom there. Okay, so here on this second layer underneath the word chill, we're going to apply an alpha mat, and we're going to link it to chill, the word above it. Okay, and that's it. That's all there is to it. So pretty simple. So this is kind of a neat look to it here. And let's go ahead and see what that looks like when we play it. So you can see that she's moving in there. So that looks pretty good over 6 seconds. And we can also maybe have it slide in from the left. So let's do that. Let's see. My text disappeared there. Let's see if something, undo clear layer. See, After Effects keeps dropping my layers. Again, another reason why I hate the web-based subscription plan they have. Because all kinds of things go haywire now. Okay, so that's kind of neat. So let's have this thing slide in from the left maybe. So let's zoom out. There we go. And then we'll take this text and we'll reposition it out here. Again, I'm going to have this thing start off screen. Just right off screen here. And we're going to keyframe that, so click the stopwatch. And at about maybe 2.5, 3, let's do 3 seconds for now. At about 3 seconds, it's going to come all the way in. That's probably enough time. And then from 3 to 6, maybe from 3 to 4, we'll leave it the way it is. Control C, Control V to copy that keyframe. So it's going to stay there for a couple of seconds. And then the last 2 seconds, well, we can give it an effect here. So let's go over to Effects and Presets. And let's try Animation Presets. Okay, so again, looking at text here, let's try some kind of animation in. Maybe the characters shuffle in. Let's try that. Okay. I kind of like that. That was kind of interesting. So again, we can play with that effect where the characters are shuffling in here. Let's see, text, animator 1. Let's open that up. Position, I guess we can change a little bit of that. Let's try that. I like how they kind of flow in there. Let's see. I don't think the position's doing much there. That's kind of neat, though. So you can see how you can apply some text effects here to the text, which is kind of interesting. Other things you could do, for example, like you could go into the city layer, for example, and add some kind of color correction in there as well. So let's close the behaviors there. And let's go ahead and find some color correction text or effects here. Open that up and let's see. Let's try curves. So I can grab curves and drop this onto my street layer. And here we have RGB, so that means we're dealing with red, green, blue, right? So if you look at this, I can take these colors and brighten them, or I can darken the whole scene, which I think will be more effective if I darken it just a little bit. Notice here I can take each band and really give it the treatment. I don't want to do it too extreme. The red and the green are a nice complement to each other. So let's try that. So you can see that by applying some effects and applying some color correction, you can really make each layer stand out. So that looks pretty good for my first composition. Okay, so my first comp is 6 seconds and done and ready to go. So now I'm going to just, on this comp here, comp 1, I'm going to go up to composition settings, and again, instead of comp 1, I'm just going to name this one chill. That way I can know which layer is which, or which composition is which in my timeline here. So we've got my final that we're going to apply it all to. Chill is our first 6 second sequence. And now I'm going to create a new composition again. And the same idea, I'm going to create a new composition, this time with the word breathe. I'm going to call this one breathe. And again, 720 by 540. Frame rate's 2997. And duration is 6 seconds. That's what I want. So I'm going to click OK. Okay, so breathe is going to be our next sequence. So again, I need to bring in a few of those clips. So let's go back to our project window. There we go. So if your project window isn't showing up, you can click these two little arrows here and bring that back up. And so now we've got a couple more clips to contend with, and this time we need to be in our breathe composition there. And let's try this one. This is a nice mountain range. Oh, I love that. And then here's a busy, crowded city scene also. So we've got this nice, beautiful mountain here, and then we have this bustling city. I love the contrast between the two. And so what we're going to do is, again, same thing. We're going to grab our text tool, click there once, and then just click on the canvas, and it creates an empty text layer automatically for you. And we're going to call this one Breathe. And let's see if we can maybe find a different font as well. So I can select my text here, and up here, again, under Character, you'll find your text tools. And instead of Times New Roman, let's do something different. I don't know. So there's a decent set of fonts in here, you know. Something rounded. That looks kind of cool. I like that. Ooh, I like that, yeah. And let's scale it up a little bit just so we can see it a little better. That looks good there, and then we'll grab our selection tool and just move that into the canvas. Kind of looks good down there, huh? Let's apply, let's go ahead and apply the alpha matte first. So we're going to go to the second layer, right, the mountainscape, and we're going to apply the track matte here by selecting breathe. And there you can see now we've got that going. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and scale this up so we can see it a little better. And then maybe just what we can do is unlink the chain here, and we can make that a little taller maybe. That looks good. I like that. Maybe we could just move this one through the mountainscape, or we can just resize it too even. That would be kind of interesting. So I like that. That's cool. Let's see what happens when we apply an effect to that now that we've applied the matting to it. Let's try scale bounce. That one looks interesting. That could work if I could slow it down. Let's see if I can slow that down. Do we have a speed somewhere? I don't see it. Darn. Target scale change. Balance nervousness. Let's bring that down a little bit. Almost. Chance of bouncing. Like that. Let's bring that up and see what happens. It's very close to what I want. That's the thing. Let's bring it down just a little bit. And then let's scale down the text too a little bit more. And again, move the position so we can see this a little better. I like that. Okay, so that looks looking cool. So let's go ahead and try special effects here. Light leaks random. Let's try that. Ooh, I like that. You see how it's being applied to the background too. That's really cool. So I think I found my effects for that one. I used light leaks, and what that's doing is showing both layers underneath. And but the emphasis is on the text, which I really like. So that'll be my composition for, that'll be my sequence for my breathe composition. Okay, so for our next composition, I've named it Attune. And I've brought in this ocean, this lake scene, which is beautiful, and then also a bustling shot of Seoul, Korea. And I did some color changes on there, so let me reset this so you can kind of see what it originally looks like. So that was kind of our original, and then again, I can play with curves. I can darken this thing or increase the contrast a little bit. Something like that looks pretty good. There's a lot of red, so I could pull some of that out too, or I can increase it if I want. And lots of green too, so again, something like that maybe. And then let's bring in our text here. So I'm going to grab my text tool and type in the word attune. U-N-E, attune. That's kind of a adjust, I guess. And again, let's scale that up. It's nice and large there. I like that. That'll work really well. Okay, cool. And then we could even increase it, vertically maybe. Something like that. That looks good. Okay, now we want to apply our alpha matte here to the layer beneath it. So again, we're just going to apply it to the word attune. There we go. And the eyeball was off on my second layer, so I turned that back on. And yeah, that looks pretty good there. So instead of moving the clip, I want to move the text. So make sure you're on the right layer when you move the text. And notice there that the text moves through the scenery, which is great that way. But let's see if we can apply an effect to it before we do anything else. So we'll go to Effects and Presets. I don't want to do that. Perspective looks kind of interesting. Wow, these are kind of interesting. Let's try a drop shadow. That kind of does something there. Yeah, that's kind of neat. So again, softness, distance. That's kind of interesting. Maybe we can keyframe that to come in or separate. Yeah, that's kind of neat. I like that. So we could maybe have that. Or better yet, let's put the text. Let's start the text up higher. Then we'll have the distance be further away and kind of fade in. Like that. I like that. Let's do that. Okay, and then let's bring the softness down too. That should be interesting. Let's do that. We'll keyframe the distance from there till about 3 seconds maybe. Oh, that's a lot. Let's do 2. And then just bring the distance down. And notice there we're getting that. That's kind of interesting. And then have it kind of come up right there. Maybe right there just to stand out a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Opacity. Yeah, we want it to be a little bit more opaque, I guess, or transparent. Yeah, that looks good. Let's try that, okay? So you can see there that the shadow comes up. And then maybe what we'll do is move this thing around or have it do something else. Let's try maybe a behavior also. Let's go back to behaviors. Do drift over time maybe. I like that, yeah. Oh, that's cool. And then the drift here, what we can do if we go to drift, if we check out drift over time, direction here. Let's play with that. Okay, let's try that. Oh, we lost our shadow. Oh no, there it is. Okay, I changed direction, so that wasn't a smart move. Well, maybe I just need to reapply it. Let's try that. See, that's good, but I don't have direction. That's what I want. Drift over time direction. That's what I want, right there. Perfect. Oh man, I love that. Okay, so that's cool for that one. So again, using some effects there, using some curves there, we were able to create a nice blend of those two layers there. So that'll be my attune composition. All right, so my next composition is going to be using the word relax. So I'll call it relax there. Click OK. And again, I want to go back to my project window and find a few. So we'll use, I think this time we'll use the sunflower along with, we already used blue, so maybe I'll use that ocean. It's the sea there, that's kind of good. Yeah, let's see if we can make these two flow together. Okay, and then, so we've got the sea and we've got the sunflowers. And for the sunflower one, maybe I can increase the size of that, get rid of the blue sky. So let's just see if we can scale this a little bit differently. Let me zoom out on it. Grab my selection tool here and I'm just scaling it manually by hand there. And just kind of create a sea of these things. There we go. Right up here. Okay. And let's see what we got here. So let's go back to our let's see here, that didn't work. Let me go to scale here. We'll just scale this thing up. Oops, I think I'm maybe on the, okay, there we go. A little overboard there. Let's try that and see how that works. And then we'll grab our tool here and bring this back over. And okay, let's do this. So they don't look so stretched. There we go. All right, so we've got that, and we've got the sea here. Let's see if we can make these blend together somehow. Again, actually, you know what? Those are both peaceful, so I'm going to get rid of the, let's get rid of the sea. We'll get rid of that layer and try a city one again. Delete that, and then we need a city one here. There's one we haven't grabbed yet. So we've got the city here, and then we've got the sunflowers. I think that'll be a nice mix. And let's do our relax here. So I'm going to grab my T tool, click on here, click relax. Maybe we'll change up the font for this fourth one. There's some good ones in here. Let's see if we can find a nice relaxed one. I'll kind of use that one already, huh? So let's try, what's that one look like? Oh, that's kind of cool. Let's try that one. Again, we'll bring up the font size here. And this one is pretty big, pretty wide, so maybe we can adjust the tracking here a little bit. And then maybe bring this thing down a little bit in scale. So let's hold down shift here, and then, oh, maybe we can't do that. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer, no wonder. Let's grab this, again, hold down shift. No, that's not going to work. So this one, I guess you don't have to, but there we go. And then let's bring this up. And maybe what we could have this do is this thing scale up. That would be kind of cool. So let's move that down. Relax, transform, position. Bring it down here. We'll have this thing scale up. Okay. So again, click scale. And maybe by the time it gets to 3 seconds or so, we'll have it scale up. Control-C. Let's unclick the chain there. That's what we want. We want this thing to come up like that. Perfect. Okay. So I guess we didn't keyframe it or something here. Oh, yeah, we did. Why is it not showing up? Oh, I guess we didn't keyframe it. Let's try it again. Make sure we're on the text layer. Yes, scale. And then by the time we get to 3 seconds, no, it looks like a keyframe there. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's close this up for a second. We'll go down to this layer again and just select relax as our matte. Perfect. Oh, I love it. Okay. And so we also maybe need to think of an effect to apply to this as well. God, After Effects keeps dropping my layers. Oh my goodness. In other words, where is my sunflower layer here, right? This is unbelievable. It's the second time this has happened today. There it is. I did not clear it. Okay, there we go. Oh, that looks so cool. I love it already. I don't know if I need to apply an effect to it, but let's do it anyway, just for fun. And let's do a special effect. This is an embossing kind of thing. Let's see. Well, that did do something. If you look at the text here, let's see. Time offset. Oh, that looks cool. Okay, and let's see if I don't know what this is going to do. Oh man, that looks great. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. I think that looks fine like it is. So I'm going to keep that one as it is, and that's going to be my relax. And then I'll come back and we'll do the final composition. Okay, so to save time here, I made a last composition. I'm going to call these exist. So we're going to use the word exist in this one. And I don't think I've used the ocean, so I want to use that one. The sea here. Let's do that one. Again, just a nice ocean breeze going on there. And that looks pretty good. We'll use that. And then I think we might have used all the cityscapes already. So actually, I don't know if we used the skyscraper. I think I did, but let me check. Might not have used the skyscraper one yet. Yeah, so I'll use the skyscraper one here. Perfect. So I had enough clips for all of them, which is good. So we've got the skyscrapers, then we've got the ocean there. So maybe on the skyscraper one, I'll do some curve adjustment just to contrast it with the one around it. So let's go in and let's go to curves under color correction here. And we're going to go ahead and find curves. Let's see. There we go. And we're going to drop that onto our skyscraper. Again, maybe darken it. We can increase the reds or greens or decrease the greens, something like that to contrast with the other one. So a good complementary color to that blue would be more of a yellowish orange. So let's try to move in more into that realm. Okay. I notice here I can move those key points along here. Maybe pull out some of the blue. And now we're getting a nice complementary color scheme going there. So that's kind of interesting, and we can even bring down the darkness of it too. You know, maybe there's too much red, pull a little bit of it out. And we have a nice complementary color scheme. So let's see if we can work with that. So here's our C here, and then we're going to do the word exist. So again, I'm going to grab the T tool and just type in exist in here. And again, it's a great font, but I want to use something different. So I'm going to grab this. Let's go ahead and just scale it down for now so we can see everything in there. And let's find a different font here. Although I really do like that font a lot. So we can select it here, and then instead of that one, again, you can also use the arrow tools to scroll, or your middle mouse button on your mouse is quicker. And you have quite a few fonts to choose from. But notice here that the tracking is off on the text. So again, I will go up to character and open that up. And then again, your tracking tool is right there. Set the tracking. So if I move this tracking out there, now it looks a little better like it should, right? So again, for this one, I choose the Cooper Black font. I really like that. And again, we have some nice color contrasts there between the two layers. Almost complementary, or perfectly complementary. So let's go ahead and apply our matte now while we're thinking about it. And let's see what happened here. Oh yeah, we got to turn that on. And there you can see a nice contrast there between the two layers. So this one, well, let's see if we can apply an effect before we do anything. I know I struggle with some of these, but let's see what a synthetic does. For example, cells. Ooh, oh man. That is just awesome. I love it. Okay, so already we've got a nice effect. Again, I can change that. I can probably change the evolution of it as well. Offsetting it. I don't know how that's going to affect it, but it's like you got a nice watery effect. I love that. It's so cool. Disbursement. I'm not sure what that's going to do. Doesn't seem to be doing much, huh? Okay, so let's try this. Asymmetric. Let's try symmetric. What does that do? I don't know if there's a difference there. Oh yeah, I like the asymmetric a little better. Wave speed, that's nice. We can bring that down a little bit too. Look, so you can kind of slow it down. So it's way more relaxed. I love that. Okay, cool. So you can play around with your effects there, and then let's have this thing maybe. Well, let's scale it up first of all. So going home, we'll go to the text itself. We'll just scale the whole thing up. Have it move through there maybe. Or maybe come from down here. I like that idea of moving it. So let's do a position keyframe. Make sure you're at the beginning of your home, your timeline. And then by the time it gets to about here, let's have this thing come in. Float in, and again, maybe at about 3 seconds, it'll kind of linger in this, maybe about right there. Well, let's see what we have so far. Perfect. I love that. And then maybe the only other thing we might do is scale it a little differently. So again, maybe it starts here. And as this thing comes down, we're going to increase the size of this font also. Or maybe just the the vertical. Love that. And then again, position wise, let's delete this keyframe right there. We don't need that one. Then we'll move the position down. To about there. Oh, that's right. That's good. Okay, let's try that. Perfect. So I'm going to kind of leave it there, I think. And again, I just think that sometimes simplicity is best, but try whatever you want. Use any effects that are available to you. And so the final step in this process then is to take your final and just bring your compositions into there. So we have, let's see, let's start with attune. That's a good start. Let's start with attune. Then follow that with breathe. I like that. Or better yet, let's do breathe first, and then we'll follow with attune. Let's do breathe second. Yeah. Okay, then we're going to hold shift down and slide this over till it snaps to the other one. Then after that, we're going to go with chill. Again, hold shift down and drag your track and it'll snap right to the other one. And then we're going to do relax. I love that. Oops. Right here, hold down shift. And then the final one is exist, right? So the lesson here is clear, right? Find your happy space, your happy place, and find your center there and relax, right? So here's the final. Let's see, I might need to zoom out here a little bit. There we go, now you can see it. So let's go back to the beginning here and see how we did with all these text effects and alphabets. Notice there it's still caching and rendering, so it's going to take a second. You can see the render line down here where it's caching. And so I think the idea here is to combine images, words, and alphabets in a way that you express an idea here. And the idea is clear here, you know, find your place to relax. For me, it's not in the city. Although I can hang in the city, I really prefer to be in rural environments and open skies and land. And so here's what it looks like after it caches. So you got attune, breathe, and I love that effect, how it pulsates between the two layers. Chill, the flower, I love that. Relax. And then finally, just exist. Okay? So that's kind of the assignment there, is to take text and take some images and combine them and use alphamatting to express an idea or to emphasize some kind of a theme.